MSU football on commit watch again. Well, okay, that sounds like a fun time to me. And also, new tailgating rules for you, party animals, you. That's right. And then we crack open the mailbag to talk about, hey, what opposing fans do we love in East Lansing the most? All the way to, hey, yeah, my lovely, lovely wife pays a visit here. Let's go have some fun today. Woo, let's do it.
Are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's the best people of all time. That's right. It's you. It is the viewers and listeners of Locked On Spartans. Cannot thank you enough for making us your first listen every single day. Or hey, if we're not your first listen, at least we are a listen. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Do whatever you got to do to make yourself happy. But hey, if you want to do any of those things that I just named, that sounds like a fun time for me at least. So thank you very much in advance. And also, if you ever want to reach out, LockedOnSpartans@gmail.com. But before going any further, I'd like to thank LinkedIn for being a great partner of this podcast. That's right. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions, oh yeah, they apply. Again, thank you so much for making Locked On Spartans your first listen. We got an action-packed show for you today. Yeah, sure, it's just the middle of July for an old lowly college sports podcast, but that doesn't mean we got nothing to talk about because, well, if you know me, I do love talking about my Michigan State Spartans, your Michigan State Spartans, and yeah, we got some exciting recruiting news again. We got really exciting tailgating news as well, and then we crack open the mailbag, answer all your fantastic questions. Also, I just want to address a question right now that we got on yesterday's YouTube show. Someone asked if I'm recording from a bathroom right now. And no, thank you very much. This is a laundry room, I will have you know. So yes, this is not the home studio. We are still doing our road games right now. So yeah, I still have this sign over here. If I could point in the right direction, 37-33. That was the score of last year's Michigan State-Michigan football game, in case anyone forgot. And then over this shoulder is a sign that says, send Fireball, because I am parched for some cinnamon whiskey right now. I don't know how you're going to send it. That seems like a problem that I can't solve, but yeah, that's just a sign I wanted to put up anyway. Enough of my issues right now about what I am or am not drinking right now. Let's get into the fun talk of, well, yeah, MSU football recruiting. MSU got some great commits last week. We talked about it on yesterday's show. By Job, a top 100 commit out of Oklahoma, and then chased it the very next day with one of the best recruits in the state of Michigan in Cole Dellinger. Awesome back-to-back day stretch there for Michigan State, and there might be some good news coming up this weekend as well. I have no hunch one way or another. It is very much so in the air, and I am talking about four-star tight end Jelani Thurman out of Georgia. One of the best players that you will find in this class. He announced on Twitter that he will be committing verbally to his future college this Sunday, the 17th of July. And let's talk about the finalists for Jelani Thurman's services. It's small school at Alabama, another miniature school, Ohio State, if you will. Auburn is in the mix, and then hey, our Michigan State Spartans as well. So how fun is that? He did visit all four of those schools last month. Michigan State was the first to host him for this official visit season. He was there that first weekend, and then he went on to visit the other three schools I mentioned: Alabama, Auburn, Ohio State. Yes, and even being a Georgia kid, a legacy Georgia kid too. The Bulldogs don't seem to be too interested in him, so at least we dodged that bullet. We don't have to climb that many mountains. We just have to climb, the old Auburn mountain, Ohio State mountain, Alabama mountain. But this is also the kind of battles that Michigan State has been in recently, right? Like you go to Clay Whedon, the interior offensive lineman. He was long considered a Auburn lean. Okay, you win that recruiting battle. By Job, a gentleman's name I just mentioned about 90 seconds ago. He came down to the final three of Oklahoma, Alabama, Michigan State, picked Michigan State, but this would be a fascinating and exciting pick if Jelani Thurman does go with Michigan State here. And he would also be the second highest rated commit in the Mel Tucker era. Well, who's first place if he would be second place? For the 14th time, I'm mentioning this kid's name this week. By Job, the defensive end out of Oklahoma. He will be the number one commit in the Mel Tucker era so far, even if Mr. Thurman wants to come to Michigan State. All 6'5", 230 pounds of him. He can block. He can catch. He can run routes. He can get damage done after he catches the ball. He catches the ball out of frame. The ball doesn't have to be passed directly to him. He's everything you want in a guy that's rated 135 in the nation per 24/7 Sports, the number rated tight end in the country, and in the talent-rich state of Georgia, the number 11 overall player. So, he is the real deal. No doubt about that. So, again, Sunday, keep it tuned. None of the recruiting experts on 24/7 Sports have logged a crystal ball, and anyone behind the scenes that I've talked to at least doesn't have any lean one way or another. So, stay tuned for that one as well. Now, some concrete news that might be of interest to you if you're an absolute heathen and you love tailgating even more than Michigan State already has given you. We got some pretty good news for you. Because when it came to Michigan State football recruiting, Michigan State football tailgating, should I say? I'm sorry, I'm just so used to talk about recruiting lately. Michigan State football tailgating news. A lot of people say, yeah, the game day experience, it's fine, but like it used to be longer. You used to tailgate for hours on end. The game kicks off at 7 p.m. You can go to the lot on Wednesday at noon, basically, and start getting absolutely smamboozled at the parking lots. And we're kind of inching closer to that because Michigan State lengthened their tailgating time. You may have saw it announced by Michigan State. You may have saw it on the Free Press. You may have saw it on MLive. Let me steal this snippet from MLive right now, though, because they write it very eloquently. Tailgating lots on Michigan State's campus will open at 7 a.m. for all games that start between noon and 4 p.m. on Saturdays in 2022. And for night games, lots will open at 11 a.m. I've read that sentence like 5 times a day. I still laugh because that's a lot of tailgating. For all games besides noon, that means 2 additional hours of tailgating compared to previous years when lots open at 9 a.m. for mid-afternoon games and 1 p.m. for night games. This was actually always a topic that came up on the show, rather. And, we would talk about it with Colton Pouncey, too. Writer for The Athletic, he would put out the fan survey, how can the experience be enhanced at Michigan State? And a lot of folks wrote in longer tailgating hours. I would get emails from fine fans that said, remember the old tailgating time? When do you think we'll ever get back to that? But, I've always stood pat that. If the lots open at 1 p.m. for a 7 p.m. game, for an 8 p.m. game, that's ample time. I like to think I like to, throw down and have a good time, but I'm apparently not in the same stratosphere as a lot of you. But hey, for those of you that wanted longer tailgating, hey, we got it. Get to those lots at 11 a.m. Crack open that fine, sweet 70-degree Miller Lite on the tennis courts at 11 a.m. So yeah, as if the game day experience couldn't get more fun, which I personally thought was fine to begin with, it's about to get ramped up a little bit more. Now, what does this mean for beer sales inside the stadium? I don't know if there's any correlation to that. I just saw a little bit of chatter like, oh, this helps that fight for beer inside the stadium. Oh, it hurts it. I don't know if it does much of anything. I do know that there is legislation being brought to the government of, hey, let's allow beer sales. But how the government works, it could be quite some time before anything gets passed there on that front. But hey, before beer sales get allowed in the stadium, how about you knock back some sweet, sweet cinnamon whiskey a smooth 9 hours before kickoff. Now, of course, first game of the season, September 2nd. That is a 7:30 game against Western Michigan. If you listen closely, if you read closely, those tailgating times are only for Saturday games. I know the Friday games, when they kick off at night to start the season, tailgating is usually a little later on, like the 3-ish, 4-ish area. I imagine that'll be the same since it I think it is still a school day, so we're going to have to hold our horses there. But for that 4 p.m. game against Akron the very following week, get yourself to East Lansing at 7 a.m. and let's get ripped before the Spartans play the Zips responsibly. How about that? And also, this is pretty exciting news too. The bag policy got changed too. It used to be, if you even thought of bringing a bag, even the size of a deck of cards in the stadium, they would damn near shoot you on sight, basically. But now you can bring a bag into the stadium, but it has to be a clear plastic, vinyl, or PVC bag, 12 inches by 6 inches by 12 inches. I don't know what that looks like. I'm not an engineering major, but they also put it in this terms that like a freezer Ziploc gallon-sized bag can be okay in the stadium. And then also, this is where it gets a little interesting too. I'm not sure how to read into this, but the bag policy, there are exceptions. It doesn't have to be clear if it's medical, childcare, and dietary items. Because in years past, if you want to bring like a diaper bag in a Spartan Stadium, no, not so fast. So if childcare bags fall in the diaper bag, hopefully get more clarity on that. But regardless, we can all get smashed earlier on the parking lots of East Lansing. And hey, you know what? While you're stumbling to the stadium, bring a plastic bag that's clear in with all your belongings. So let's all have a good time. So yeah, fun times in East Lansing. Cannot wait for football season. Let's go. All right, before we get to more football talk, some basketball talk, really just some mailbag talk, I just got to talk to you lovely and wonderful people about LinkedIn. That's right, it's LinkedIn. You already know who they are. But also, if you're a small business owner, you should really get to know who they are, because as the sun comes out and small businesses are back in business, LinkedIn Jobs makes it easier to grow your team. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the people you want to interview faster and for free. That's right. And if it's free, it's for me. If it's free, it should be for you. Create a job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that, oh yeah, you are hiring, so your network can help find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience, so you can quickly prioritize who you want to interview and hire. It's why small businesses like yours rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. Folks, LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. And did you know that nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn every single week? And that's a big number. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And before cracking open our mailbag here, which NFL stars move the betting line the most? Starting July 18th, that's next Monday, Locked On gives you the 50 most valuable players in the NFL from the odds makers at BetOnline. Again, available July 18th, the Locked On NFL podcast. That is wherever you find folks get your podcast. Now that's me opening a mailbag right there. Let's open the mailbag. And we're going to kick it off here from Joy Flyer. He might be the question asking MVP whenever I come begging on my knees to you find listeners, to you find viewers, to you find Twitter followers. Joy Flyer really comes up with some awesome questions here. And this is a good this or that question. Some cross-sport action as well. Who would you rather have commit, they ask, Devin Royal or Pancake Honcho? Well, Pancake Honcho is the nickname of Samson Okunlola. He is a top-rated player in the whole country, the #1 offensive tackle in the nation. He's down between us, Miami, Alabama, maybe Oklahoma. Regardless, anyone wants this kid. Now, Devin Royal, who is he? He is the number 76 rated basketball player on 24/7 Sports, 6'6", small forward, and really, he is a mirror of Malik Hall. It would essentially be saying hello to a younger Malik Hall after Malik Hall graduates at the end of this year. So tough to say no to that. Now, that's where it gets interesting, though. And I don't think there's a wrong answer here, whether you'd want Devin Royal, whether you'd want Samson Okunlola, because just one guy in a football team, yeah, of course you can make a difference. I mean, I'll just look at Kenneth Walker last year. Safe to say that that one guy made a difference, but more times than not, tough to make an impact if you're just one guy versus, well, one guy on a basketball team. Because, well, that's just how numbers work. 5 guys play basketball, 11 play each side in football, and if you're a math person, which I'm not, but I can still figure out that, yeah, you want the basketball guy, but that's not my answer. That's not my answer. I am going to go with I'd rather have Samson Okunlola for the 2023 fall class because kind of sick of the heartbreak around losing offensive line recruits, and I know that this has just happened. Like, this is nothing new. Or no, I'm sorry. This is not a recurring thing for us Michigan State fans. Keontae Goodwin just happened last year, but that's really the only heartbreaking offensive tackle recruit that I can remember at least. But still, let's say you miss out on Peyton Kirkland, Madden Sanker coming up, a smattering, a slew of others. But in the end, it's not just how heartbreaking it would be to miss out on Okunlola, it's how much of a statement that would be if you can land this top 15 recruit in the nation in Pancake Honcho. Look, Michigan State's got a really good recruiting class so far for football right now. By Job just committed, if I could say that for the 80th time this week. They could get Jelani Thurman this Sunday. They have Andrew DePape. We're all having a good time, but man, really big difference between like a 4-star kid that's in the 200s, 300s versus the number one guy at his position, arguably. Yeah, there's debate to be had around that. If not number one, then number 2. Regardless, really damn good player. And above all, top 15 rated kid. There is a lot to be said of landing one of those kids. That's how you know that, okay, we're really making splashes on the recruiting trail, beating teams like Alabama, beating teams like a resurged Miami who's getting all sorts of hype around them. So I'm going to go with Pancake Honcho. And also, yeah, it's fun to get all the fun storylines out of that I just mentioned, but you're also getting a really damn good player. And if you can get a really good left tackle in not just college football, but football in general, well, yeah, you're going to feel really okay about your offense, especially if Caden Hauser, quarterback of the future, propels to where we all think he is going to be. So, yeah, give me Pancake Honcho. Let's go. Serve me a stack of flapjacks and take me to the promised land right here. Number 2 question of the mailbag we're going to hit today. This is from Buckley Gino. Also another great guy that asks a lot of good questions. What will be the more important game to watch? MSU Gonzaga on the aircraft carrier, of course, a basketball game, or MSU Rutgers in football the next day. If you don't know by now, Michigan State versus Gonzaga will be playing most likely on an aircraft carrier and on a Friday night to open up the season. Then the next day, the Scarlet Knights come to East Lansing for a football contest. What's the more important game? If we're using the word important, I'm a big words guy. I do word work full time in my other job away from podcasting, so that's an important word for me. Important. I'm going to go with football then. Is it the easy answer that, well, there's only 12 regular season games and there's about a zillion regular season basketball games? Yes, kind of, but also it's where those games are at in the season. Right? Like football, this is going to be the 10th game of the season. It's sandwiched between the Illinois game and the Indiana game. But more important than those, that's 2 weeks shy of ending at Penn State. And listen, I know that Michigan State beat Penn State last year, and I think they can beat Penn State this year. It's just always very hard to go into Happy Valley and get a win there. If you can win that game, I'll tell you what, let's say if you win that game, you go 9-3. Sounds a lot better than 8-4, doesn't it? Or hey, a nice healthy 10-2 sounds better than 9-3, or wherever you're at. Wins in the college football regular season are so much more important than the first game of the season in basketball. But if you're one of the people out there that say basketball, I'm not going to shame you, because there is an argument to be said of why MSU versus Gonzaga will be more important. Like, this is a great litmus test for how Michigan State is going to be this year. It was a mysterious offseason. They didn't add anyone in the portal. They lost some players. Julius Marble says goodbye, and then they don't really address a lot of the front court. Okay, you're going to see a really good front court player against Gonzaga in 19th year senior Drew Timme. But can Michigan State's backcourt, the great guard play, can they make up for the there's so many storylines going into the season, and it's going to take a few games for at least me, probably you, to really get a grasp on what Michigan State basketball is going to be this year. That just one game in an aircraft carrier, I struggle to use the word more important than a regular season football game. So that's kind of where I stand. But again, I'm not going to shame anyone for saying that the basketball game is going to be more important. And the third mailbag question, before we get to more, in a hot second here, this is from Madison Rose. Thank you very much, Madison, for writing in this question, because this is a fun one. This is a fun one. Who am I kidding? All you guys wrote fun ones, but this is a really fun one. How would you rank the visiting fan bases from most enjoyable to have in East Lansing to least enjoyable? This is going to sound so lame, but as far as visiting fans go and like my interactions with them, I mean, I've had pleasant experiences with a lot of them, like Nebraska fans. It's not every year that they come in. It's not even every other year they come in, but when they do come in, and especially, when they were new to the Big Ten, I had a pleasant experience with them. They're pretty down-to-earth people. They love the tradition of college football. They were thrilled to be in East Lansing, someplace different for a lot of them. So they were nice. Ohio State fans, always fun to break bread with them. You just rip off F Michigan, and then you take a shot of Fireball, and then you break bread over that. Wisconsin fans, very, very friendly people. I've never met a Wisconsin fan that I don't like. And that's why I kind of like them. Also, you know what? And this isn't even a Big Ten team, but I do like when Michigan State plays the directional schools in the state, like Central Michigan or Western Michigan, and you get the fans of those schools, like the alumni, the students that went there, and they're there to rep their team. How fun is that? I mean, they're probably fans of maybe Michigan State when it is time to turn on a game on Saturday, or fans of that school down the road. But hey, you know what? When the Broncos or the Chippewas or the Eagles come into town, rep your team. Let's go. And they're always there to have a good time. Never an issue with them. And also, got to say, I'm going to go back to the Big Ten here. I've had nothing but great times with the Penn State fans. Those are some fun, loving people right there. And if you're going from, Happy Valley to East Lansing, I get it's not like they're coming from, Cambodia or they've traversed oceans to get here. But it still is kind of a far road trip, just like our Nebraska fans. But those are people that are there to watch some football and have a good time. And boy, howdy, do they have a good time. Not for the fans that I don't really care for. How about just the fans on the road? I don't need to go any further on that. Although, listen, I've still had some decent experiences with them, and also some, experience I didn't really care about. And also for fans that I don't really like to come to East Lansing, I'm actually going to say Ohio State again. Yes, they are fun people. They are, cool to drink with. They're awesome to break bread about how much we hate Michigan with. But on the other end of the spectrum here, okay, I wish they didn't wear red, because not only do they barnstorm every opposing stadium, whether it's Evanston, whether it's West Lafayette, whether it's Ann Arbor or East Lansing, every game is like a neutral field game to them if they're not playing in Columbus. And the fact they were red makes them stand out even further, and I just get a little irritated seeing that much, scarlet around the stadium rather than that. So, yeah, I like Ohio State fans, but I also don't like Ohio State fans. So how about that for an answer right there? We will be back with a few more questions on the other side of this break. But I just got to talk to you fine folks about BetOnline.net. That's right, it's BetOnline, baby. And we have got some massive, massive golf news. And really, it's just that the British Open's happening. That's all I got for you. Tiger Woods to make the cut on BetOnline is minus 150, plus 125 to miss the cut. So, go ahead, betonline.net for that. And also for all your other sports betting needs and information, because they are your number one sports number one sports betting website for all your sports betting needs and info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, news, including this year's NHL playoffs, Major League Baseball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, scores, and more. And BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports, scores, podcasts, and news this season. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check out all your favorite sports events, including MMA, boxing, and golf. Who is winning the British Open right now, by the way?
John Rahm.
Okay, the Shane Lowry. That's a weird way to say Shane Lowry, but we'll take it. Head to the website today. John Rahm, I'm very impressed right anyway. Use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. That is at BetOnline, where the game starts. If you listen to that ad read, first of all, thank you very much. You may have seen a different face walk in, a different voice enter your microphone or your headphones. You don't listen to podcasts on a microphone. That was stupid for me to say. Regardless, it's my lovely wife. Her name is Samantha. How you doing?
Hey.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
So the other day, desperate as ever, I come crawling on my knees, begging for you fine folks for mailbag questions. At the end, I said, give me a Michigan State sports question. Give me a college sports question. Give me a question for, my great wife. And some of you actually, against all odds, took us up on that. So here she is to help answer some questions. So let's just get right into it, shall we? Are you ready? Are you sweating right now?
A little bit.
Okay. We're actually going to get a life question out of the way right now. And this is for Zeke the Wonder Dog fan page.
But it's not about Zeke the Wonder Dog.
That has nothing to do with Zeke the Wonder Dog. Sorry.
Okay.
Do you want to leave? Or?
I might.
Okay, shoot. Well, one tip for a soon-to-be 25-year-old. One tip for a soon-to-be 25-year-old. And I know that's not like a marriage question or a relationship, but that's a good question because a little peek behind the curtain here. We are dinosaurs. We are ancient. We are living on borrowed time. We are both 30 years old.
I say we're not 25.
We're not 25. But you at one point were 25 years old. Do you have any advice for Zeke, the Wonder Dog fan page right here, and all other 25-year-old turners or turnees?
Are you going first?
I can go first.
Okay.
Just do it. Just do it. And, it's so cliche, but, just do it. Whatever that you are thinking of doing, whether it's, a music festival or planning a road trip with your friends or even just as little as a night out, just do it. And listen, I'm very happy with life right now. It's awesome. We have a little boy. It's so much fun. It's great. But, let's be, I ain't going to a music festival. I'm not going to, a golf tournament or a golf trip. Well, those are far and few between to come by. Well, it depends on the time of year, but do it because you're young. Don't go bankrupt, but also make a lot of memories right now with your friends, with your family, with significant others, whatever it is. Just go for it. Do it because let's say a family is down the road. Not as it does happen, no doubt about it, but wow. Comparison from 25 to 30, a little different right there.
One. Yeah.
Spit. You got this.
Don't compare yourself to other 25-year-olds.
Oh, that's deep. I love that.
Because we were married at 25, a lot.
We are Mormons, so we got married at the age of 17 years old. Yeah. No, we might as well have been.
But I'm just saying, don't compare yourself to the people
That's
getting
good.
married or engaged or even having kids at 25. Just do you. Go off Matt's advice, but also maybe not as crazy.
See, Zeke the Wonder Dog fan page, not only is he a fan of halftime dogs, but hopefully he's a fan of that advice right there. Also, he asked another question. How do you handle his emotions after a tough loss? And I imagine the emotions are mine and tough losses would be after a Michigan State
half the time I just go to bed. Just fair. Also, he does the podcast a lot of times after it, so
that's kind of true. Yeah, this podcast,
or he's driving home from a game, so I don't know if I have to handle them a lot.
That's true.
If I do, you got to go on with life when you have a 1-year-old. It's kind of the thing, though.
Let's say
just
he's
a lot of family time.
Yeah. You know what? That's a good peek behind the curtain. This podcast and YouTube channel is more therapeutic for me than any of you ever realize because the game will end.
So thank you.
Yeah. And I'll just be melting into the couch, despondent. She's like, oh, how'd it go? And I'm like, not great. Not ideal. And we'll have some 5 minutes of chatter. I'm like, well, got to go record a podcast. And then I'll just...
Well, it's gotta make dinner and...
I'll just, punch the drywall and then turn on the microphone and, record a podcast or a YouTube show. So, just healthy stuff, just healthy stuff like that.
Healthy YouTubing.
Yeah, healthy YouTubing. It's healthy dialogue. It's great. This is from Jackson.
Okay.
Why did you marry Sheehan?
I saw this question.
Thanks for giving me hope. If he can do it, anyone can. And that's tough, but fair. That's fair. So, why? Are you going to leave me right now? Okay.
For 10:30 at night.
You can also say no answer.
No. I mean, well, first of all, like we've been together for a very, very long time.
Is it the money that Built Bar brings in? Is it the money that BetOnline brings in?
It's the Built Bars that we get, the Built Bar swag.
Yeah. The Lamborghinis they send us.
No, it's just how comfortable we are together. And like you light up a room.
With my recruiting talk at Michigan State Sports.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she can't go without hearing about why Samson Okunlola can commit to Michigan State. Or what are your thoughts on Jelani Thurman's commitment this weekend, by the way? Do you think he's going to pick Michigan State, Alabama, Auburn, or Ohio State? Give us a crystal ball right now.
Auburn. Is that the answer you wanted?
What do you think? It's a Locked on Spartans. What do you think that... Next question. Okay, next question. I think this is...
If he does pick Auburn, like I get something, right?
No, yeah. Well, you're an employee at 24/7 Sports, and I will contact Justin Thin to get you started. No problem about it. The last question we're going to hit is the hardest hitting question that we have. Is it Myers or Meyer? Kroger or Kroger's?
Okay. There's only one correct answer, right? Like it is.
Is there?
Yeah, it is Meyer. Unless you're going to multiple Myers.
I'm not.
Okay, so it's Meyer. Like if you go to the store and look at the letters, it's Meyer, and it's Kroger.
So I'm going off the board here. Like, I think I call it Myers now, and it's the same way, like, I say Folks.
Like, plenty of people call it Myers, but it's not. Like, if you truly walk into the store and see what's correct or not. 3
or 4 years ago, like, I would always call it Meyer, but, like, it's kind of like why I say Folks now, like, and I've gotten that question, like, why do you say the L in Folks?
Yeah, that is weird.
It started as a bit, though. Like, I said it just to, like... Did you
start saying Myers, like, when we stopped going there? Because we stopped going there for years.
I started calling it Myers because it's like, oh, that's a funny thing to say that, like, you know, kind of irritates people, and then, like, it just kind of stuck with me. Mm-hmm. Now, the worst part about all this is that I do call Kroger, a lot of time, K. Roger.
Yeah, you do.
Because that's funny to me. Because I have the easiest sense of humor, and I laugh about anything like calling Kroger K. Rogers, so I don't really know what to say about that.
But in the end, there's no S on either of those.
There's an S on them. Do you have any mailbag questions? Like, do you have any thoughts about Michigan State recruiting, or how about the new bag policy? You got any hot takes on the bag policy? Or the tailgating policy?
The tailgating policy is...
it's aggressive.
It wasn't my favorite news to hear today.
Well,
the bag policy? I'm trying to think if, like... I mean, it's helpful for kids, but...
See, great mother.
I'm trying to think prior if we ever were even concerned about the bag policy, and I'm not sure if it affects our life for the next year.
Sure. Well, the tailgating policy, does that affect our life?
Maybe yours. It affects your liver.
It affects the Sunday mornings, too, when I get back home. So.
Sunday mornings.
Yeah, well, hey, Alan Haller, thank you very much for changing the tailgating policies, and sorry about that. So, it'd be like that sometimes. But hey, thank you guys. If you've still stuck around for this segment, thank you very much. You guys know how to say Myers properly now. You know how to live life as a 25-year-old. Hopefully that was somewhat of good advice. And then, more importantly, you know how we handle with losses here in the Sheehan household. So
I wouldn't say Sheehan household, just you still.
Okay, well, you know, when we're married, we're together, you know, so we're one team. But regardless, hey, thank you guys so much for making Locked on Spartans your first listen every single day. You guys are truly the best. Why don't you go ahead and make your second listen Locked on Big Ten? That's right, it's Locked on Big Ten with my guy, Nate Dickinson. Just like this episode, and, well, the whole podcast, free and available where you find folks get your podcast. Love every single one of you. We'll be back Thursday with an episode 50 things to get excited about for Michigan State football. Are you going to be sticking around for that one or no?
Sure. I'll do numbers like 30 through 35.
Wow, that's exciting. All right, well, we'll see if that's actually true. Until then, see you guys.